Hello, my name is Renate van Nijen. I am a Dutch, internationally exhibited artist and self-published writer of 8 books. I live in southern Spain and I have lived in Spain for 18 years, but I'm not so much here to talk about that. I'm reaching out to you with a message. And what I'd like to talk to you about is something that concerns a lot of people, and I think it's quite a big problem internationally. And I'm fairly convinced that this is a very good subject to be discussed in your school, in your organization, maybe a healthcare organization, or your education faculty. The reason is that I feel this subject is not talked about enough. And when I tell you what it's about, you might think, I'm not really interested in that. But I feel it's a very important subject because it affects 3 in 5 people at some point in their life. What I'm talking about is living or being close to an alcoholic, someone who is suffering from alcoholism. Now, the reason why I am passionate about this subject is because I myself have experienced this, and I lived for 12 years with a so-called functioning binge drinking alcoholic. But it was sort of like this. There were really fantastic days. It was a very intelligent guy, really funny. And I fell in love with him. And I was 40 when I met him and very, very independent. I had traveled the world and lived in several countries, but still I fell for this guy because he was a nice guy. And I did find out very early on that he was an alcoholic. And I thought, okay, I can handle that. I'm strong. So not a problem. 12 years later, I realized that's not going to happen. I can't save him. He can only save himself. However, what happened to me was I felt really judged by my environment, judged by friends and family. And they said things like, oh, just leave him, he's a loser. And I didn't think that was fair because it wasn't that simple. So I wanted answers, and what I did is I interviewed 40 plus people, and they were children, partners, parents of alcoholics, both male and female, because there's a large percentage of female alcoholics, which is not talked about that much. And also, I interviewed quite a few recovering alcoholics and people in the healthcare in the healthcare field of addiction and specialized in alcoholism. Now, what I say is probably also true for people who live with a drug addict. The mechanism is the same, because what happens is when you live with someone who's addicted to whatever substance, but in my case it was alcohol, they I call it a symptom. They project, and what they do is they tell you you're worthless, you can't do anything, it's all your fault. And before you notice it, before you even realize it, you get sucked into this situation where you think, how did I get, it must be my fault, I must be doing something wrong, if only if I shut up and not said anything. And the truth is, it's not that simple. It's actually quite difficult. But why I'm so passionate about this subject and why I feel it should be talked more about, because it's not so clear in society that alcoholism and addiction affects far more people than what you see usually on the news and in documentaries, because it's mostly talk about the addict, not so much about those living with the addict. And when I interviewed these people, I actually collected their stories in a book. And I feel this is a book that should be read by a lot of people in the healthcare field, students, and all sorts of people really, but also I wrote the book for people who are in that situation, so who live with an alcoholic. But I think it's just a really good book to read for people who are just working with alcoholics, or anyone really, because we are just still inundated with publicity for alcohol, drinks. It's all positive, we're all happy, and usually young and healthy people drinking alcohol. Now, I have to say, I'm not against alcohol, and I can drink a glass of wine with no problem, but it is a problem for a lot of people, and this is what I would like to create awareness for. And I just recently saw this incredible movie called The Wisdom of Trauma, and if you can, look it up and watch it. And that's more about the alcoholic or the addicts, how people get addicted, what's behind it. But I really feel that it has so much impact on people surrounding the addict. That has then again a really large impact on society, because first of all, these people don't really talk about their situation because they're ashamed, because they often feel it is their fault. It's very hard to admit that you are living with a person who's addicted, and you tend to defend them, you tend to make excuses for them, and it's just terribly hard, and you really start doubting yourself. Now, the book, I haven't even mentioned, I don't necessarily want to plug the book so much, although I do feel that people get help in it, because what it does, people who live in that situation, they recognize a lot of things, and this will help them to feel not alone, to feel not unique, and then take the next step and search for help, because actually I feel you need help to get out of this situation, whether this is through groups, whether this is even through reading several books, or whatever you do. You have to first understand that your focus needs to be on you, not on your alcoholic partner or parent. The book I wrote is, by the way, called Cheers, Breaking the Silence One Voice at a Time. And as you can see, I have the painting I created for this book behind me. But the book is a storytelling book. So with permission of the people I interviewed anonymously, I rewrote their stories, most of them in the first person, to create easily accessible stories that are quite poignant at times, but that also give you an insight in what happens in the alcoholic, what happens with these people who live with the alcoholic. What is this in society? Why is this such a big issue? And I really would like to open up the discussion. I'm really very much willing to create either a webinar where people can ask me questions, and to maybe create this as a subject for people to learn more about, to study more. And if you are interested in this, or think this could be something good for your institute or your organization, then please feel free to contact me, and the contact details will be below this video. And I personally feel this is a problem that we could create awareness for, like there's awareness for the problems related to smoking, for example. And I feel it's a problem. It's a problem that affects a lot of people, and I really would love to just explain that to more people, and explain how that is possible without saying that alcohol should be banned, because I'm not saying that, to be honest. I'm not saying that at all. So yeah, please do contact me if you feel this is something you would like to further discuss. And I look forward to hearing from you. Goodbye for now.